Out of all the Paradox games I have played so far, Stellaris is the most flawed. I wouldn't go as far as to say that Stellaris is a bad game. It is not. Stellaris does have some flaws that fall short by the standards of other contemporary Paradox strategy games. The main issues I have with Stellaris are that the fleet combat is very opaque. Combat computer tooltips are at times misleading, and player had to resort to examining the game's code to determine how the combat computer actually make the ships behave. There are plenty of numbers regarding damage output in the combat report. However, some sort of analyzer or visual aid regarding what is actually happening would certainly help understand the fleet combat. The empire size is a blunt and ham-fisted way to mitigate snowballing issues, imported straight from 2010's strategy games. Empire size makes your research and cultural development slower the bigger your empire is. This mechanic was introduced in Civilization series when Civ 5 was released in 2010. In both games, optimal strategies are centered around bypassing the empire size to the greatest possible degree, which kills the strategic diversity and decision making in these strategy games. In a game about building an empire, it sure feels bad to be directly and unavoidably punished for doing so. The most egregious of all is the war system. Nearly everything about the war system sucks. There is no peace treaties. Either one side surrenders and give in all of their other side's demand, or they are called a status quo peace. That's it. Those are the only two ways war can end in Stellaris. Worse yet is the incredibly boring war exhaustion mechanics. They might as well be wartime. Instead of the fighting capabilities of your empire being gradually worn down by prolonged war, everything stays the same as the start of the war, but the war exhaustion ticks up every month until it reaches 100%, and you are forced to offer a status quo peace. Another flaw is that hostile fleet can attack from third-party space with no repercussion. It is universally considered an act of war for a state to allow one country to invade another using the territory. However, Stellaris chooses to ignore this. One of the Paradox other games, Universalis, handles these aspects very well. One of Paradox other games, Europa Universalis, handles all these three issues very well. War ends in peace treaties. War exhaustion is actually implemented instead of being a timer, and the issue of third-party territory in war is handled. We know that Paradox is capable of making a proper war system. So why did they do this through Stellaris? Stellaris is a flawed game, but it's still fun. If you are looking for depth and strategy, I suggest Hearts of Iron 4 or Universalis 4 instead. However, if the space theme and the newly randomly generated map every game and the role-playing potential with less complexity and strategies are you looking for, then Stellaris is worth it. And no, Increasing the difficulty doesn't make Stellaris any more strategic, it just makes the game much more tedious. It's the same thing with difficulties in Civ or any other 4X franchise, where they just give the AI a bunch of bonuses instead of making them actually intelligent. If we take it as a colony sim or a city builder, it is somehow both pretty simple and very complex. You rarely need a lot of thought in what to build, but you can spend ages calculating pop growth, planetary bonuses, species traits, civics, and priorities to maximize your output. If we take it as a combat focused RTS, then it lacks the tactical in the moment to moment gameplay, and put a lot of focus in building your field and put a lot of focus on building your fleet right in the first place, which leads to a very dull my fleet advances until it's defeated type of gameplay, where fighting a weaker enemy is boring and fighting a stronger one is either hopeless or requires some cheesy. You can rarely pull off tactical maneuver that is impactful and feels great to do. If we take it as a 4X or a city builder, it is rather bland. There's a reason why so many people spend hours trying to designing custom nations and then just don't play them. Because the thought of a nation, the excitement of building them, and the idea behind their existence falls flat against the very similar gameplay. You spawn, you get more planets, get a strong economy, some vassals, and do some war. The difference is that the processes of materialist and spiritualist and organics and synthetics and hive minds and democracies is so very thin in this game that you might as well just playing the same nation with different civics. Number changes, but the mechanics don't. You can't roleplay a nation of low-tech hordes. You need techs to improve your fleet size. You can't be scientific, energy-focused glass cannon. You might as well buff your economy and push some choke points here and there. You can, however, be wealth-focused megacorp thanks to Marx. Props for that, I guess. That's my biggest gripe in this game. That's my biggest gripe for this game. The sameness of different empires. Toxoids are just a quirky organics. Aquatics just have water cannons. Hives just don't care about consumer goods. Lithoids eats minerals and not food. Give them a so strong identity. Break the balance, make a truly drastic change for each. I don't care. It doesn't hurt to break the balance that much if you give every single one of those empires some kind of identity, like some kind of quirks. To add to this, I would like to see different types of empires actually works towards different goals and have mechanics and win conditions to match other than just a genocidal empire. Spiritualist empires should get mechanics and a win condition for spreading their spiritualism, and the influence of Shroud and Materialist should get their own minigame on robots and scientists that counter spiritualism. Hive minds should get a minigame that singularizes other empires into hive minds. into synth ascension. These mechanics and win conditions should be meaningful at any scale. I like to see more interaction with empires through spying. Currently, the meta for espionage is to just steal techs over time and do this over and over again. There is no incentive to do any of the other operation because they don't really do anything. Most empires plays the same in general, which is why I am so devastated that when beta with breakthrough tech got reverted. So it stopped the default strategy. Weaker and stupider empire could get by lagging behind because for them the tech was cheaper. I would also like to point out introduction of mercs and ideological crusades. It adds more playstyle that don't rely on default eat more and get stronger yourself loop. I want more variety, way more, even if it is little things. There should be empire that use hordes of weak and cheap ships. There should be a technical marvel where one ship costs fortune and performs appropriately. At the end of the day, I just want more variety. The game may seem like there is a lot going on, but if you play it for 10 to 20 hours, you will see that how shallow the systems really are. It really does not have much depth in its system. It may have the complexity, but it does not have much of a depth. I really love more asymmetrical gameplay in their factions. One thing I really love about another 4X game, Endless Space and Endless Legends, is that the asymmetrical variety of different factions. When you play a certain faction, that faction would play out completely different from any other you've played on the game. I would like to see they add more factions that are mechanically different, not just cosmetically. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching.